Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel again. Today I'm going to show you how I made a color swatch card for my Sakura Koi watercolor field trip set. This set has 24 different pigments. It's a student grade set. It's not the best quality, but I enjoyed using it so much. I've been having this set for quite some time and I finished quite a number of paintings with it. It's very easy to carry. It reminded me of a lot of, some good times that I spent painting. So I would recommend it to any beginner. So we need the watercolor set, some watercolor paper, masking tape, a ruler, a brush, and some water for cleaning the brush. First of all, we need to measure the size of the lid. And then prepare a piece of watercolor paper of the same size that can fit in the lid. Next, I used a 2H pencil and a ruler to draw some lines on the paper. The goal was to divide the paper into 24 squares. In the box, we see there are 4 lines of colors. Each line holds 6 pens. So on the paper, we should draw 3 horizontal lines and 5 vertical lines. The space should be the same in between lines. I know this process may be kind of boring, but it's very necessary if you want to get a clean and neat result at the end. Hey, by the way, if you like what you have seen so far, please subscribe and follow me on Instagram. This year I plan to do more painting tutorials and time-lapse painting. Please support by subscribing to my channel. Unfortunately, my camera was running out of battery again, so I'm not able to show you how I used the masking tape to tape over the pencil lines. If you're interested in seeing how I used such techniques in this type of projects, please refer to my last video, how I painted a color wheel. Basically what I did was to mask the 4 edges of the watercolor card and cover all the pencil lines. When you finish these, you can start filling the squares with the colors. Now let's go ahead and see some color swatches. So the color that I finished in the top line, they are Chinese white, lemon yellow, Aurelian hue, permanent yellow deep, permanent orange, jaune brilliant. So for these yellow pigments, they are actually quite bright and vivid. They're easy to activate and go on pretty smoothly. However, the color jaune brilliant, it's a little bit disappointing. It's slow to activate. When it goes on paper, the intensity is weak. Now move on to the second line. The colors we swatched are vermilion hue, cadmium red hue, crimson lake, quinacridone rose, purple violet, cobalt blue hue. For the color vermilion hue and cadmium red hue, they still look okay. They are not as good as the yellows, but they're still bright and vivid. However, the crimson lake, it's sort of disappointing as well. When it's dried, it looks kind of granulated somehow, and the color is not very clean and it's a little bit dull. The color quinacridone rose, it goes on still pretty smoothly. The only complaint about this color, I would say, I expect it to be a little bit brighter. However, the intensity is just okay. So for the color purple violet, the intensity seems okay and the color is pretty pigmented. I just never used this color much in my previous works. The color purple violet is a really gorgeous violet color, so it can be activated pretty easily using the watercolor brush. It goes onto the card pretty smoothly and the intensity looks okay. However, in the past, I've never really used this color much. I think maybe it's just a personal preference that I haven't figured out a way how to use this color wisely. Now let's move on to talk about these blue pigments in this box. We have cobalt blue hue, cerulean blue hue, ultramarine deep, Prussian blue. The intensities of these blue colors are not as high. It was not very easy to activate them using a watercolor brush. When they go on paper, they seem to be pretty smooth. However, when they are dry, they seem to be pretty chalky. You can see from this video that the cerulean blue and Prussian blue, they just look very dull. The next color that I'm swatching here is Permanent Green Pale. It's a light bright green, which has a little bit of yellow undertone in it. It's easy to be activated using the watercolor brush. It goes on paper pretty smoothly. Overall, the intensity looks fine. I'm pretty happy with how it looks. So the next color is Viridian Hue, which is a cool green, has a little bit blue tone in it. You can see from the video, it's not very pigmented as well. The last color in the third line is Permanent Green Deep. It is a darker green, has a little bit of blue tone in it. I quite like this color, nothing to complain about. It can be activated pretty easily. The intensity seems fine. When it's dry, it does not look chalky. It's a beautiful dark green. Now let's move on to talk about the last 6 colors in this set. They are the earth tone colors. I feel like in the past, I did not appreciate these neutral colors enough. I always went for the highly saturated color that has high intensity or high luminosity. Until this Christmas break, I started learning how to paint small animals. Then I realized they are so useful when it comes to paint animals. And when they are mixed with other colors, they can really create some interesting magic. So from left to right, we have olive green, yellow ochre, light red, burnt umber, Payne's gray, and ivory black. Olive green is an earthy tone green. This pigment can be activated pretty easily. It goes on pretty smoothly. However, the intensity is a little bit on the low side, but I think for a student grade set, it's still okay. It was almost the same story with yellow ochre. However, I wish the intensity of yellow ochre could have been a bit stronger, because yellow ochre is such a widely used color. It can be used in a lot of different types of paintings. A little bit stronger intensity can make it more useful. The same goes for light red and burnt umber here. In general, I feel like these earthy tone colors, they are somehow still quite saturated. They can be neutralized a little bit more, and also their intensity can be enhanced as well. The next color that I swatched here is Payne's gray. I've used a lot of Payne's gray in my botanic paintings. They can be very useful when adding shadows to the leaves. The last color is ivory black. I rarely use any type of black in my paintings. I believe all the teachers you meet, they're gonna tell you, do not use any type of black in your paintings unless you have to, especially for the beginners. So for these 2 colors swatches, there were no surprises. They're pretty standard colors. Now we have our finished product, a swatch card with all the colors that you can use as references when painting. I was trying to compare the colors on the packaging to the colors on my swatch card and found they are actually quite close, which is very interesting. So the next thing that we need to do is to use a pair of scissors to carefully trim off these masking tape pieces hanging from the edge of the swatch card. Now we have our finished product. The last step is to use some glue or double-sided tape to stick the swatch card into the inside of the lid. I hope you enjoyed watching this tutorial/product review. I would recommend this box set to any watercolor beginners. Have fun painting. See you next time.